Welcome to the Exploring Climate Solutions webinar series. The series is brought to you by the Governor's Council on Climate Change. On April 22nd, 2015, Governor Malloy issued an executive order creating the Governor's Council on Climate Change, also known as the GC3. The Council is charged with examining the efficacy of existing policies and regulations designed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and identify new strategies to meet the state's greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. The Council is composed of 15 members from state agencies, quasi-state agencies, businesses, and nonprofits. To learn more about the GC3, please go to www.ct.gov/DEEP/GC3. The webinar series explores innovative and successful climate change solutions in Connecticut and the nation. This series provides firsthand accounts of high-profile municipal climate programs, initiatives in the corporate world, new greenhouse gas reporting frameworks, statewide sustainability programs, low-carbon fuel initiatives, and other programs and projects that help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve climate resilience. Today, we're excited to have Lynn Stoddard, Director of the Institute for Sustainable Energy at Eastern Connecticut State University. Lynn will be speaking about Sustainable Connecticut, an exciting new initiative being developed by municipal leaders, ISE, and multiple stakeholders right here in Connecticut. As an emerging municipal sustainability certification program, Sustainable Connecticut will provide municipalities with technical assistance, education, detailed sustainability actions and tools, various funding and topic resources, and opportunities for statewide recognition. The presentation will be about 40 minutes long, and then we'll open it up for questions from the audience. If you have a question for Lynn, please submit your question in the question dialog box, and we'll read it aloud for her to respond to. Before we get started, for those of you listening via your computer speakers, if you're experiencing poor sound quality, I do encourage you to call in using your landline. So with that, Lynn, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you again for your willingness to present. We've got record numbers turning out, and we're really excited about this program.
Great. Thanks so much, Carrie. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. Really excited to tell you about this exciting new program that we launched a couple of weeks ago. The goal is to empower, support, and accelerate sustainability action by Connecticut towns. So the program is called Sustainable CT, and we'll be supporting local actions resulting in statewide impact. For the past 9 months, a bunch of Connecticut municipal leaders have been meeting to develop a vision and program framework for Sustainable CT. So I'm going to just tell you about the vision of the program through their words. Kurt Miller, First Selectman of Seymour, talks about the program as a program that will benefit all of the residents of Connecticut. And he spells out the key elements, which are a roadmap for towns, essentially a menu of voluntary actions to make towns and cities more efficient, effective, and resilient. Second element, resources and support, especially funding to help towns. The third critical piece is a certification program to provide recognition for towns and cities and their accomplishments. And most importantly, Sustainable CT will be a flexible program that works for all towns, large and small. As voiced by one of our other municipal leaders, Betsy Patterson, the former mayor of Mansfield, Sustainable CT will encompass many areas of sustainability, from bike paths to land conservation to water conservation, everything that makes a town or city more sustainable. So I wish Kurt and Betsy and some of these other leaders were here today to tell you more about their vision and the framework for this program, but just so happens we have this video that showcases these leaders sharing their vision and also highlights some of the current sustainability success stories of Connecticut towns. So I encourage you to go to sustainablect.org and watch that short video. So at this point, Sustainable CT is really the outline of a program with a lot of solid and support and backing, but the details don't quite exist yet. We had a soft launch where the mayors and selectmen showcased their vision and invited others to help create the details of the program. That soft launch was November 15th at the CCM annual convention. So that's where we are today. And we're eager to engage any of you to help us create the program details over the next several months. I'm going to give you a little bit more of a description on the program framework and the value that it will provide to our towns. So Sustainable CT, through that menu of actions, will provide multiple points of entry for towns. There will be actions that result in clean and diverse transportation and mobility choices, actions that spur local economies, actions that support stewardship of land and natural resources, actions to create efficient and resilient municipal buildings and services, actions that build vibrant and dynamic community centers, bringing in arts and culture. It's a voluntary program. Towns choose to participate and decide what actions they want to take. We're really excited about this framework and how it can help improve the health and wellness for towns, environmental protection, municipal resilience, resultant cost savings, and provide recognition. Another key element of the program is that it helps build community. As towns work on these action steps, it connects people on common goals and projects and helps them work together to make their towns more livable. So how will Sustainable CT actually work and look? And this is the part where we want to look at a similar program and show you what the future could look like for Sustainable CT. Sustainable Jersey is an example of a highly successful, mature program. In developing the Division for Sustainable Connecticut, we looked really closely at New Jersey's program and successful programs in about a dozen states. So we're going to take a little drive through this website to see, again, how Sustainable CT could look and just give you a better sense of what we're working to create. So Sustainable Jersey provides the same program elements mentioned in the vision on the slide with Kurt Miller. It's a menu of sustainability actions, municipal certification, where towns can achieve silver or bronze levels by obtaining a certain amount of points associated with the actions they've taken. It's events and trainings and support for towns to take action, grants and resources, bringing money to our towns and cities to implement sustainability. We're going to drive through the website a little bit to dig down deeper. But I'll start by saying how do towns participate in New Jersey? Again, it's a voluntary program beyond compliance. Towns register on the website. There's no cost to participate. And the really first starting point is establishing a green team, so there's a core group of people to engage in the program. So the actions. So Sustainable Jersey has many actions, hundred something, in these various community categories. So you can see the breadth of sustainability and pretty much anything you can think of when you think of the word sustainability is found in this program. Remembering that they are actions that are under the control of town, so something that a town can actually influence. So let's look at waste management. And under that category, you'll see lots of different actions, prescription drug safety. I'll just scroll slowly so you can read through them. Food waste, recycling, et cetera. We'll dig in a little bit on non-mandatory materials recycling. So each action on this menu has this similar menu of items on the left that basically lists the who, what, why, how, and when to do something. So we'll go through this a bit. Who should lead the program? In some cases, the action will require town staff, like in this case, role of the recycling coordinator. In other cases, the action is something that can be led by volunteers. The time frame just gives you a sense of how long it would take to complete and achieve this action. Project cost gives an idea of what types of costs you might anticipate. For this action of non-mandated materials recycling, it even, goes down to give you the approximate cost of buying a drop-off container for your recycling drop-off center. So you can really get a range of what's going to be involved. Why is the action important? Just the basic reasoning behind it and the sustainability benefits. It's a good place to look to get help. You can explain the benefits to others that you'll need to get on board to help implement the actions. And then the steps, exactly what to do and what to submit to get credit and points. So in some cases, it's quite prescriptive for some actions. In others, there are choices. For non-mandated materials recycling, a town could either put an ordinance in place to add those additional materials or pursue additional materials mostly through putting the infrastructure in place to collect them and doing a lot of outreach, but no ordinance. Either way, education and outreach are really necessary for this action. The Spotlight menu item is really a great thing because it's peer sharing. Towns can look and see what their peers are doing and how they went about it. So in this case, they showcased the Township of Nutley, which put in a program to recycle cream milk and juice cartons, all things that are not mandated under New Jersey's mandatory recycling program. And finally, the resources. So just like in Connecticut, there are lots of resources to support action on recycling. Sustainable CT will provide a framework to help our towns find and use many of these great existing resources we have in the state and to elevate and amplify existing programs that help towns with these types of actions. We're going to go back up now to take a look at events and training. So you've got all these things to do. How do you figure out how to do them? This is an up-to-date current list of all training, workshops, webinars, conferences that Sustainable Jersey sponsors, as well as other organizations. So you can see some of them are more social, getting to know peers that might be able to give you ideas and you can network with. Some of them relate to funding. Some of them are content specific, so connecting the drops helps with the water efficiency actions. And some of the training is more about the Sustainable Jersey certification program, helping you move up in your certification level and better understand the certification program. Let's see, grants and resources. This is a fun one and the one that most towns really want to hear about. In Sustainable Jersey, they have about almost $2 million a year that is available in direct pass-through grants to towns. Let's look at what some of those types of grants are. Of course, you can search by type and action, or we can just scroll down and see. At this point in time, if you were a town in New Jersey, you could access all of these different grant resources to help you with sustainability actions. And you can see they give you a sense of the amount available per town, deadlines and that kind of thing, and what it's helping with. Most of the grants are small, $1,000 to $3,000. Some of them are really large. Like they have one here for to help towns with energy audits. Local government energy audit program provides 100% of the cost of an investment grade audit for a town building, so that's about $100,000. So some really robust resources here. And this is really one of the most exciting things I think about the Sustainable Jersey program. They've, by creating this framework with all of these actions, they've been able to attract funding from sources that may not have been funding town efforts before. So lots of different foundations, both corporate and philanthropic, that are supporting towns through the Sustainable Jersey framework. And by funding through this framework, the funders see that their money is really highly leveraged and results in real impact, and they can see the collective impact of all the municipal actions. So we're really eager to tap into some of these same sources of foundation money in Connecticut that may not be that accessible to our towns at this point, but will be once we establish this broad framework. And especially in these difficult budget towns, I think it's something that everyone's going to be interested in seeing to support this program. I'm going to show you one other cool piece of the website, which is really a part of the program. So there's a map that helps you understand what towns are participating and what are the towns doing. So we'll click View now to see that map. So New Jersey has like 565 town-like entities, so tons. And you can see from this map, many of them in blue are registered. In bronze, those have received bronze certification, and the green bubbles are silver certification. So about 80% of New Jersey towns are participating in Sustainable Jersey. That's huge, really a huge reach, and really exciting what they're able to accomplish. Of the participating towns, about 45% of those have achieved certification at one level or the other. So again, a really powerful thing about this is being able to learn from peers, and there's kind of this sense of peer-friendly competition by looking in and seeing what other towns are doing and copying the good stuff or trying to be better than them. We're going to take a look at Newark, one of their larger cities, to see what Newark is doing. And this is the same profile you can see for any town or city participating in New Jersey's program. So you can start by looking at their contact person and contact information. And let me just go back for a second to look at their certification report. So again, all the contact information you can see. Newark was certified about a year ago with 210 points to achieve bronze certification. And then let's see, well, what did they do and how did they do it? So these are actions they took from that broad menu. Creating a green team is one of the mandatory actions. So you can look and see a copy of their ordinance to create that green team and kind of who's on it and notes from their meetings. They've done outreach, holding green fairs, and these links below are all kind of their the overview and the substantiation of how they accomplished that action. Diversity and equity, they've done outreach on lead and reducing lead around homes and screening kids for lead contamination. So let's just drill into this one a little bit and see how that looked, like what did they actually do. Oops. So that is a photo of one of the events they had for lead awareness, all the kids walking around with their lead awareness shirts. And here is the flyer that advertised the event they had and the screening for lead levels in kids. Obviously, an important action for community health and well-being. And go down, you can see energy efficiency, a lot of the things our towns are doing already, school gardens. And then there's a category for innovation actions. So these are actions that can be determined by the towns. In Newark's case, they created a summer program using teenagers as interns in their city parks. So the teenagers were like park rangers and also did maintenance in the parks. And this is a great example of what we call multi-solving. So through this program, they were able to have many benefits of maintaining their public spaces, employing their youth, exposing kids to college and career opportunities, and improving urban forests and urban wildlife habitat. So that is the end of the drive-through of Sustainable Jersey, and I encourage you to, take a look yourself and explore that website because it's just really robust. Sorry. So I'm going to talk a little bit now that you see what the vision is and what we're working to create, give you a little background on how the conversation started. So lots of things coming together in Connecticut. Funders that were inspired and wanted to leverage their limited dollars into a framework like some of these successful programs in other states, towns needing to realize cost savings, successful models in other states that we can look at and learn from, towns that have done a lot in energy but are really looking for somewhat of a roadmap in the other sustainability areas, interest from legislators on the need for such a program, and lots of local, highly engaged volunteers already working on clean energy task forces and other sustainability efforts in their town. The main partners have been CCM, the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. They've helped convene this group of municipal leaders that I talked about at the beginning that's been meeting for the past 9 months and helped create the vision of what we want to do in Connecticut. Critical partner is our funders, Emily Hall Tremaine Foundation, Common Sense Fund, and the Hampshire Foundation that have been amazing in terms of their support, but also their vision and leadership and eagerness to be part of the conversation, helping to create this program and think through it. And then we've got us, the Institute for Sustainable Energy at Eastern Connecticut State University, and our role has been to receive the seed money from the funders to coordinate groups like CCM and the mayors and facilitate the development and provide sustainability expertise and staffing in project development. So how we got to this vision was a task force set up by CCM on sustainability. I just wanted to show this slide so you could see that these initial municipal leaders that have been talking about this for months come from all over the state. You can see the stars where the towns are. It's included cities like Hartford and Stamford, small towns like Barkhamsted, towns led by Republicans, towns led by Democrats. And this task force was chaired by former Mayor Betsy Patterson from Mansfield, who did a great job leading and facilitating the group and thinking about how this program should look for Connecticut. So that's the task force that we just talked about. At this point, we've morphed into an advisory committee that brings in a broader perspective, so still a core group of municipalities and CCM and municipal frame of reference on this, but in addition, some state agencies and nonprofits and business groups. So this group will meet for the next year, and its job is to oversee the development of the certification system. So that means work groups that are going to be meeting to develop the actions and the point structure, like all those actions we saw on the Sustainable Jersey website, and defining and recommending kind of a long-term governance structure for the program. And this is a quick look at who's on the advisory committee. Again, a core group of town officials and leaders, as well as some of our commissioners and agency leaders like Rob Klee, Scott Jackson, DECD, Christina Newman-Scott, and then we've got some Business Council, Fairfield County through Stanford 2030, Eversource, and some great nonprofits, Connecticut, Main Street, Groundwork, Bridgeport, and the Partnership for Strong Communities, as well as us at ISE. So the advisory committee is chaired by Ted Schaefer, First Selectman of Burlington. He was a stellar participant on the CCM task force, very engaged in sustainability in his community. He's highlighted in the video, so if you watch that, you'll meet Ted there. And we're just really grateful and fortunate to have Ted's leadership over the next year on this and beyond. Little timeline, again, we established a task force that's kind of been happening the past year. Recently established the advisory committee. We recently had the soft program launch. What's up next? We'll be doing some broad regional stakeholder engagement workshops. We're working closely with the Council of Governments to coordinate and partner with them on these workshops. Those will be happening in January. Check our website for the dates. The working groups on these different action categories will begin. They'll work over the first 6 months of 2017 to develop those lists in coordination and in feedback with the advisory committee. And then we're working towards a full program launch a year from now at CCM's annual convention in 2017. So when I say full program launch, I mean that website, all the actions spelled out, the certification points, hopefully some of the funding and resources in place, and it'll certainly be a program that grows and morphs over time to push towns further and bring more resources over time. So we would love, we're at the point of creation of the details, and we're really eager to get folks involved to help carry this vision forward. So some of the things you can do is sign up on our website. You'll see in the next slide the URL. Sign up to get updates. We'll put you on our email list. Attend the stakeholder engagement meetings in January. If you're on the email list or you check our website, you'll find the dates there as soon as we determine them. We will soon be posting those working groups and the co-chairs and looking for people who are really interested in contributing to this and have expertise on sustainability actions to join those work groups. So very inclusive process. Anyone who's interested, we're eager for your participation. If you live in a town, which you do, or work for a town, you can start talking to your town about this program and help them begin to prepare for the launch of the program and think about a green team and beginning to get involved and take action once the action steps are all laid out, and just spreading the word to others. In order to make this program successful, we need a really broad coalition of many stakeholders and lots of smart, dedicated, passionate people. Sustainable CT website and social media links here, and a phone number if you'd like to chat. I'm going to stop there for questions and comments.
Great. So if you have questions or comments, go ahead and send them in using the dialog box, and we'll read them aloud. So to get us started, Lynn, you mentioned the working groups, and those who are interested can contact you or participate in those working groups. Are you saying that it's open to the public and that anyone can attend the meetings?
Yeah, so we haven't developed the exact process or structure, but what we envision is 2 co-chairs for each work group. So one will have a municipal hat, either a municipal leader, staff, or someone from a council of government, and another maybe from a state agency or nonprofit or someone with strong content expertise in that working group area. And then the work group members really, at this point we're envisioning we'll certainly reach out and recruit people with expertise, and we're really looking to ensure multidisciplinary teams on these work groups. So we want people who know about energy, transportation, planning, health and wellness, equity and diversity scattered throughout all the work groups, because we think it'll be a much more robust conversation if we have these multidisciplinary teams. So, yeah, we're looking for really broad coverage in all of them, and yeah, we anticipate that the work groups will certainly be open for people to pop in and give their comments and input.
Great. And then if a town does not currently have a green team and they're interested in getting a jump on it before the program's fully rolled out, do you have resources to direct them to create those greens, or suggestions on how to get those green teams going ahead of time?
That is a great idea. So at this point, we don't have an outline or directions crafted, but I think we'll do that. And yeah, I mean, essentially, it's going to be kind of looking for, again, an interdisciplinary team, so maybe some town staff in some of these areas, as well as residents and volunteers and members of the business community that are really engaged in wanting to make change in towns and make them sustainable. So that's a great idea, Carrie. We'll put together like a little outline so towns can get started on thinking about what that might look like. Great.
And as the year moves forward, and along the same lines, as towns want to, anticipate wanting to participate, this website and this presentation will be available for people to send around to their municipal officials or others who might be interested?
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say if you wanted to go chat with your mayor tomorrow, you could start by hopping on our website and showing them the video, which is 6 minutes, and that's their peers, other mayors and selectmen, talking about their vision for the program and inviting their peers to participate. And we have a little information on our website as well about some of the background information, and yeah, this webinar too.
Great. A few more questions here. So does the New Jersey track the reduction in GHG emissions of each measure taken? Will the Connecticut program be offering GHG emission reduction scenario modeling tools for the individual measures?
Wow, spoken like a true director of the state's climate program. I love it.
That actually wasn't my question. That was actually someone else's.
Oh, nice. So. Thanks, people out there. So that's a great idea. New Jersey, in some cases, you notice that they have silver and bronze certification right now. They just launched gold. It's not up on their website yet, I don't think. So they started a program with easy actions to engage towns. So some of those were municipal pledges, you saw some like green fairs and things like that. Pretty easy things that any town could do to just get them engaged and start a little behavior change. There's kind of a continuum of actions leading up to things like the next step would be things like ordinances and changes in energy upgrades and changes in the way the town procures things, and actual actions that have performance indicators and metrics. So we will work towards performance levels of measuring greenhouse gas reductions, dollars saved, jobs created, whatever is associated with each action. There won't be greenhouse gas measures easily counted for everything, like having a green fair, for example. But we know that those things to engage people are important early actions to start the conversation and build capacity. So, but those types of things about designing for measuring certain program indicators that'll show how collectively towns in Connecticut are moving the needle on climate change and helping the state meet its climate change goals. We're really eager for input and involvement of a lot of people to help us design something that's really robust.
Great, I like to hear that. So next question, can sustainable CT have a role in advocating for statewide policies that may be holding back clean energy development, such as the virtual net metering cap, the lack of a full shared solar program?
So I'm speaking as kind of the coordinator of the program, and as you saw, it's in development with many, many stakeholders. I do not anticipate the program having an advocacy role per se, but I do think it will fill the role. I mean, one of the first questions that we will be asking in the work groups when someone suggests an action is this something that's not required by state law already? Because it's not a regulatory program. So if the answer to that is yes, then we explore what is the step that towns can do and so forth. What is the action? And so there could well be some things that get to these broader clean energy agendas that may have not happened yet through state programs, and that's great because we will have the opportunity to explore them and go broader if you know, there's support and the ability to articulate an action to support towns that way.
Great.
Yeah, so you already answered part of my question about if there is going to be a gold certification. Could you speak just a little bit more about how they certify a municipality as either bronze or silver? What goes into that?
Sure. So looking at the New Jersey program, you saw the menu of actions, and you might have noticed when we looked at the actions, some of them said 10 points, 20 points. Some said mandatory. So in some cases, there's a requirement, a green team, for example. Or in some cases, maybe an ordinance, so you can actually develop a complete streets program or something like that. You get a certain amount of points for each action. We saw some of the ways towns substantiate those actions, copies of ordinances, documentation of the events they had. And so then in New Jersey, they're submitting those through the website. It's an online portal. And once they register with Sustainable Jersey, there's actually like a planning function on the website. So you could say, I want to do these 5 things in the next year, and then kind of track your progress, begin to submit them. In Sustainable Jersey, the office that coordinates certification and support for the program, they basically view it as, let's say you submitted the action item for points on non-mandated recyclables that we looked at. They'll review that. Do you have an ordinance? If you don't, do you have a collection system? Do you have a robust outreach program? They have criteria and a rubric to see if the town has met that and achieved the points. So there will be, you know, that review so that towns can't just say, I did this. And greenwash, but that there's a really substance behind it. And it's all online, but as a town enters that realm of registering and submitting certification in New Jersey, it's really kind of a partnership with the Sustainable Jersey staff. It's not just you send it in like maybe a grant proposal and you hear back 3 months later, no, sorry. Send it in, and then there's conversation, support, help. You know, you might need to do this, and then you'll get the full points or whatever. So very much kind of an iterative, supportive process. And then it's not a program where you must do steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that order. It is choose the actions you want and achieve a threshold of points. And that threshold, Newark had 210 or whatever, got them silver. Gold presumably would be, you know, more points than that, and bronze is lower. So you could get those points, kind of like LEED for buildings. You can get your points in different ways. Sometimes there are mandatory things that everyone has to do, and it just gives a great flexibility for towns. And it also gives, I mentioned, different points of entry. So if there are towns that have been doing a ton of work on recycling, for example, they can jump on and quickly get points in that area. But this framework then basically kind of compels them to look, okay, well, what else is there that other towns are doing that we're not? So they can then jump to whatever the next area is that's appropriate for their town and where they have local buy-in and desire.
A few more questions. How many municipalities participate in New Jersey?
I think on the site it was 440 out of the 565-ish, so 70%, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Does this program exist in other states beyond New Jersey?
Great question. So yes, but this program in quotes. So we are part of a multi-state network of about a dozen states throughout the country that have statewide voluntary community sustainability certification programs. That's kind of the descriptor. Sustainable Jersey is one. You might be familiar with Massachusetts Green Communities. That's another one. Some of the other states with programs all different are Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, California, Florida, Pennsylvania, Maryland. So we've been meeting in person and participating on some work groups of that MultiState Network, and it's just, we're just really fortunate in Connecticut because we can look at these other models and really jumpstart our program. And the programs, the other states are really willing to share, and eventually, hopefully, we'll have things that they can learn from us as well. Another awesome part of the network is we can group together. So, for example, we're all really interested in figuring out how we can better integrate equity and diversity into our sustainability programs. So we've created a work group of our multi-state network where we're getting some training on that and thinking together on how do we make sure that these actions meet the needs of everyone in our community, all populations, old, young, rich, poor, able, unable. And that's exciting because those kinds of things are kind of maybe a deeper level in these programs, but completely necessary. So it's just great to have this collaboration of a lot of states working on it together. Another piece that I think is really exciting of the multi-state network is we talked about data and measuring greenhouse gas reductions. So establishing platforms to show and measure data on a community scale, as you can imagine, is a pretty expensive and intense exercise. So we're looking at engaging, banding together on that and getting grants to support development of these sustainability data platforms that would serve multiple states. So not only would we have, we'd be able to do more than any of us could do alone, but we'd also have some commonality in comparing programs and comparing the results of programs between states. So that's super exciting. If there are any funders out there intrigued by that idea, we're happy to direct you to that work group.
Great. In terms of the New Jersey program, do they have to re-up their points, or are they static once they've achieved them, they achieved them forever?
Great question. They must recertify every 3 years. So we envision something similar in Connecticut. It's not that you're in and you're green forever. You got to keep doing green and pushing more.
Great. Will there be a template to help cities with some type of climate action plan?
Most likely. I think it would be a likely action, climate change planning, and it is an action in the New Jersey program. So yes, that would be associated with kind of a template, resources, how to measure that kind of thing. I anticipate that and hope that whoever asked that question will help us develop that action.
Yeah, and I'll just point out that we do have some resources on the DEEP website for climate action planning, so I encourage folks to take a look at that. But additional thoughts, through this process, I think would be great. And then there's been a few questions about asking about presenting this presentation in other locations. A couple of things, we will definitely post the presentation in PDF form as well as the recording on the DEEP website, the Exploring Climate Solutions website. Lynn just mentioned that they also have information on their website, so I encourage you to go to the ISE website to view the video and some of the I don't know if you're going to post the PowerPoint, but again, people can get it from our website.
I should go back to, oops, I should go back.
And I encourage you to contact Lynn directly and talk to her about how, the rollout and opportunities for potential speaking events as they, especially I assume as you get nearer to the launch, that you'll be engaging through public events to promote the program.
Definitely, but in the meantime, We will do some version of this presentation at the stakeholder meetings in January, so that's one opportunity. As I mentioned, we're working really closely with the Council of Governments, and we've already done some presentations to some of the COGs. So if your towns and leaders and staff are attending those meetings, they should hear it there. The Clean Energy Network, Task Force Network, run by the Clean Water Fund, that has meetings a couple times a year. We've been giving updates, and that's a really great active group of clean energy task forces, so happy to present at those types of regional meetings or whatever. If you have like a critical meeting at the town level, yeah, just give us a call. We'd love to get the word out and do it in an efficient way, but also a way that gives people a chance to ask questions and have a personal connection with us.
Great. So if you have any additional questions, I have one question left to read aloud for her to answer. If you want to squeeze one in, squeeze it in now. So the last question I have so far is, does the program distinguish between large cities and small towns?
That is another awesome question. You might remember from one of the first slides of the vision, it was a program that will address the needs of all towns. And that's probably the #1 thing we've heard from mayors and select people as we've been conversing with them about sustainable CT. So yes, there will be actions that all towns can take. The way Sustainable Jersey handled the city, big city, small town thing was in the early years of their program, they only had actions that any town could take. So recycling, any town could engage in. Water efficiency, energy efficiency, land stewardship. Actions like preservation of farmland might not apply as much to a city as it would to a rural town. So they've introduced those as the program has evolved and achieved balance with them. So in other words, they have kind of a balance of preservation of farmland, which might apply more to rural towns, with brownfield actions, which might apply more to urban towns. And so always having an eye in the design of the program to make sure that essentially every town has access to the same point potential.
Great. Another question rolled in. Does the program take into account economic need? Some cities are very budget limited relative to programs.
Yes. So as you're asking, does it, these are the questions that we invite you to help us ensure that it will. So certainly needs to address economic need. Some towns clearly have one person on staff and others many more. We have a number of thoughts about how we might support towns with less resources. One of those, since we are at Eastern Connecticut State University and use student interns to do a lot of the work we do at ISE, and we also coordinate a statewide network of Connecticut campuses on sustainability. We are looking to develop an internship program that could be run at any college or university throughout the state to deploy students in local communities as interns to support this program. And that could be something that could be supported by funders or local businesses or whatever, exploring some interesting models on that. So that's one example, kind of an internship core that there would be a uniform training to support their work throughout the state that would help towns that are a little bit under-resourced.
He said based on medium household income. I'm not sure if that was meant to be a question or a suggestion.
I mean, there may be ways of screening towns for economic needs, and that could be one, depending on, you know, kind of what resources are available. In some cases, it might be that grants are targeted towards certain ranges of economic levels for towns.
Great. Okay, that's all the questions I think that we got, and I want to thank you again for presenting, and we will post all the materials on our website. We encourage you to pass them around to folks who might be interested. And then a plug for January, we'll posting the next webinar in mid-January. We'll be posting it soon for mid-January, and another one in February. We have a few in the queue and just determining dates. So thanks everyone for participating in the webinar today, and I hope everyone has a great weekend.